What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video, and today is a video I've been looking to make for quite a long time, but for some reason 2023 seems like the perfect time to make it. So, you are in the market for a foldable phone, but believe it or not, there's too much to choose from. How do you decide? Well, I am the Average Dad, and I have made it my goal to try and educate people and promote Chinese foldables as much as possible. Over the past 12 months, I have owned, well, as you can see, quite a lot of foldable phones. If you can name all the foldable phones I have owned in the last 12 months, pop them down in the comments. Or if you own a foldable phone, pop which brand in the comments below. So, what I wanted to do was give you the 3 considerations you should have before purchasing a foldable phone. Let's go. So the first thing you need to consider, and by far the most important factor in my opinion, is the ROM. For those that don't know, there are a few different types of ROM. You can get an EU ROM, a global ROM, a Chinese ROM. And if you want to have the smoothest phone software, the ROM is going to be your biggest deciding factor. So, the 3 different types of ROM you can have. Let's start with global. A global ROM is essentially a fully working Android phone like a Samsung or an Apple or a Google. They will also do an EU ROM. There's different quirks, but ultimately they're going to work exact same across the USA and Europe. Now on the other side, you have a Chinese ROM. A Chinese ROM is essentially Chinese read-only memory. It's going to have Chinese apps, the Chinese language, Chinese bloatware, and the way that Google services work could vary depending on which Chinese ROM device you purchase, but we'll get into that. So, smooth Android experience including all Google services, Android Auto, banking apps. Most likely, the global and EU ROM will suffice. However, a Chinese ROM device does not necessarily mean it is locked to China only. For example, Vivo, Xiaomi, Oppo, those are top 3 brands that have Chinese ROM devices but can have Google Play installed very easily. Now, I've done setup videos on all the devices I'm talking about. This video is not about setting them up. I'll link that in the description. This video is detailing the differences and what should factor into your purchasing decision. So, as a blanket statement, a Chinese ROM basically means you can't get Android Auto. That's the only consistent app or functionality that I've ever noticed across all Chinese devices. Now, where it gets slightly more nuanced is if you purchase a Chinese-only Honor or Huawei device. With those, you cannot install the Google Play Store natively. So if you are looking at the Honor Magic V2 Chinese ROM or the Huawei Mate X3 Chinese ROM, you're not going to be able to install Google Play. Now with the Huawei, there's another nuance. Even if you get the Huawei Global ROM, because they have cut ties, or Google has cut ties with them, there is no way to install the Google Play Store on any modern Huawei device within the last 3 or 4 years. You cannot do it. So, let's put Huawei to the side because software-wise, they're the most difficult to consider. Now, Honor are about to release a global version of the V2, which means you don't have to sideload Google Play apps through GSpace and Gbox. I know this is all getting probably a bit technical, But ultimately, with the release of the Honor Magic V2, globally, this brings all of the foldables that I'm talking about on basically the same level when it comes to software and functionality, other than Android Auto. That will only be smooth on a global or EU ROM. So if Android Auto is your deal breaker, if that's the functionality you must have, then you have to go down the global or EU ROM route, which leaves you with soon to be the Honor Magic V2, the Google Pixel Fold, any Samsung Fold, and soon to be the global OnePlus Open. That, unless I'm missing any, is your 4 choices of foldable, large foldable devices that you can purchase. If you're not fussed about Android Auto, you can have all of the other devices. And if you're not fussed about getting Google Play Store at all, you can get the Huawei Mate X3. So you may have to watch that part back a few times to get it in your head, but trust me, this is as simple as I can think about explaining it. So, software, factor 1, move that to the side. Hopefully you've got an understanding of that. The next factor is, like any device, hardware. So, for me, the Honor Magic V2, the Xiaomi Mix Fold 3, the Google Pixel Fold, the Samsung Z Fold 5, the Vivo X Fold 2. I mean, you really are spoilt for choice. So it all comes down to which hardware you prefer. All of these phones have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip and a decent battery that is going to get you at least a day, sometimes 2 days battery life. So let's put battery life and performance to the side. What are the other major factors that you look for in a foldable phone? For me, it's camera. And of all these devices, there are only 2, soon to be 3, with a 5x periscope zoom lens, Huawei Mate X3, the Google Pixel Fold, and the soon to be revealed OnePlus Open and Xiaomi Mix Fold 3. So if cameras is your thing, you've just narrowed it down again. Now, special mention to the rest of them, because it's not to say that the Z Fold 5, the X Fold 2, and all the others, the Magic V2, don't have great cameras. They certainly do have great camera packages for foldable phones, but I personally look for a 5x periscope zoom lens. Now, other hardware you might be looking for is stylus support, and this is where the field gets really, really narrow. For stylus support, and I might be wrong, pop down the comments if I'm not, or if I am, the Samsung Z Fold 4 or 5, and the soon-to-be globally released Honor Magic V2. To the best of my knowledge, they are the only 2 foldable devices that support stylus pen support. So you're already narrowed down there. You're essentially down to 2 phones. Now, as far as other hardware considerations, they're all large foldable devices. However, the cover screen on each of these devices changes. On the Samsung, for example, the Z Fold lineup has a very thin or narrow cover screen. I personally don't like that form factor. But it has a large inner screen, just like the rest of them. It's just the narrow screen doesn't quite work for me. And it is quite thick compared to some of the other devices. Now, the Google Pixel Fold was just released a few months ago, and it's got a 5.8-inch diagonal screen on the outside, but it's the widest cover screen on any foldable device. And then you've got the rest, which are generally round about 6.3 to 6.5 inch, quite wide as an average candy bar style phone, and they use that on their cover screen. For me, the Google was almost a sweet spot, but it looks like the OnePlus Open is going to be a Passport style, but instead of 5.8 inch diagonal, it's going to be 6.3. So for me, that doesn't want it really tall and narrow like the Samsung, or a bit too short like the Google, the OnePlus or the Vivo or the Xiaomi, they're going to be your sweet spot, or they're certainly going to be my sweet spot. So that kind of takes into the hardware impact. So at this point, your factors, you've already decided which ROM you want to go for, which is easiest for you. You've decided the hardware features that must have. So you've narrowed it down. You must be down to just one or two phones that you can choose from by this point. And the final factor that obviously comes into consideration that might throw your pick off is price. None of these devices are cheap. However, with the Chinese ROM devices, you are typically going to find yourself a better deal because you're importing them from China, and they get like crazy cheap. When you convert it from pounds and dollars, they get a really good deal. For example, the Xiaomi Mix Fold 3, which was just announced a few days ago, which comes with all that great hardware and 5x periscope zoom lens. In China, you can buy that for just under £1,000. In fact, quite a bit under £1,000. Now again, if you haven't looked at the trailer for the Mix Fold 3, or if you haven't seen the specs, take a look and see. And remember, you're getting that for £300 less than the base S23 Ultra or iPhone 14 Pro Max. That's mind-blowing. Showever, that's in China. Because we have to pay import and taxes and stuff, you can get the Vivos, the Xiaomis, and the Honor foldable devices for around about approximately £1,250 or $1,400 to $1,500, which is still considerably cheaper than the global ROM released smartphones. The Pixel Fold will set you back $1,800, and the Z Fold 5 will set you back $1,800. So all those Chinese devices that haven't had a global ROM release are going to be cheaper. So I know there's a lot to unpack there. I hope I have helped to some degree. However, pop down in the comments any questions, buying questions, purchasing decisions. If you're on the fence about something, I have owned, used, reviewed every single one of the phones, apart from the ones that haven't released yet, the Mix Fold 3 and the OnePlus Open. However, the Mix Fold 3 will arrive next week, and the OnePlus Open will be ordered as soon as I can order it. So if you found this video helpful, please smash the like button. And if for some reason you're watching my outstanding content and you haven't subscribed yet, smash subscribe. And if you want to go that one step further, you can support the channel by clicking the join button and donating a small amount per month to help fuel my tech and foldable phone addiction. Now, as mentioned, the Mix Fold 3 will be in my hands very, very soon, so expect content on that. I'm going to keep churning out content on the lesser known advertised phones of the world. So if you're into that, you know what to do. And until next time,